So obviously, one of the stories of the summer with Illinois basketball has been the addition of what I like to don them as the Balkan Boys, right? They've
Yeah.
had a heavy presence of getting overseas guys into the program. Two of the bigger ads are David Mirkovic and Mihailo Petrovic, who currently are not admitted into the school, I guess. According to Jeremy Werner, David Mirkovic is still working through the admissions process, and Illinois has not yet announced the addition of Mihailo Petrovic. Obviously, June 17th. We have seen over the past couple off seasons or summers, not just Illinois, but other schools have, maybe slow dragging their feet in this admissions process. But Brad Underwood said that he feels good about this. He's optimistic about it. He said, I feel like we're in a good place. So, a coach is supposed to say that. Okay. I know he's not supposed to come to the talk to the media and say, well, just so you guys know, yeah, I don't feel good at all. I think we're screwed. Like, obviously, he's not going to say that. But he does say that he feels like he's in a good place. He is confident. So, Ralph, I'll ask you two questions here. One, do you think he's right by feeling like he's in a good spot? And then two, like when do you start to get like in panic mode, I guess? Because right now it's still June 17th. There are
Yep.
teams that are on campus. There's teams that are like actually I think they're allotted a little bit of like workout practice time during the
Yeah.
summer. So that's going
Yeah.
on right now. When do you hit the orange button and I guess panic for the Illini?
End of July.
End of
End
July.
of July, I think, is when you hit the panic button because August is when like everyone starts getting to school and there's some like legitimate deadlines you run into. I tend to believe Brett Underwood when he says he thinks they're in a good place. I think the other actions around the program have you believe that they're in a good place. Like there wasn't some scrambling to try and fill a potential spot that may open up with some of the guys that are still available or some of the bigger names that were available a couple weeks ago. Illinois wasn't scrambling and in the mix for those guys, which makes me think that they do legitimately feel okay. Some of these delays could very easily be the fact that like this is a new thing, not just for recruiting, but bring in players from overseas and guys who have played professionally to college basketball. From an admission standpoint, there is not a track record of precedent to fall back on or a track record of operational procedures and how things are done to make sure things are cleared. Right. And so, as much as we talk about like just the basketball side of things, operationally in a program, that's new stuff they're trying to figure out too. It's new stuff admissions office has to figure out. There's new stuff compliance people have to figure out. And when everything is new, it takes longer because you have to think about it, right? You have to, instead of you having the experience of doing it and doing it and doing it, you have to think about every little piece that you're doing. So I tend to believe him in the sense that they're in a good place. I would guess that things are just taking a little bit longer because this is a newer process and a newer deal. But again, this drags on another month, and we start getting to July 17th, July 18th, instead of June 17th and June 18th. Then some red flags may start coming up.
Yeah, I think you definitely got a good read on that. Like once it gets closer to that date, I feel like it becomes a little bit more real. But I think that to your point, I guess this is the downside of this like this Euro wave that's coming in. Like I feel
Yeah.
like there really hasn't been much of a downside in being able to like just go overseas and pick a guy that's an 18-year-old, pick a guy that's played in the Adriatic League for
Right.
3 years. It's basically like, okay, come play college basketball. And like, yes, they come over, everything's like rainbows about it. I guess this is just a hurdle or a hoop that needs to be jumped through in case to do this. I think it's a little bit different with Petrovic because Petrovic obviously has played in the Adriatic League. He's a little bit older. Mirkovic is a bit like on the younger side, so I'm not really sure how that works, maybe necessarily with how admissions works, but I guess like I would be a little bit more concerned about Mihailo than I would be Mirkovic. And if I had to put my little tinfoil like orange Illini hat on, the one thing I would say is that for when it comes to Brad Underwood, there's to me there's not a coach that pivots better, right? Like if he's dealt
Yeah.
something, he will go find another option immediately, whether it's overseas or reclass or something like that. He will find a way to pivot from that. I think he would be actively recruiting
Right.
guards and other people right
Right.
now if he was that concerned, right?
This video is brought to you by NBA 2KLab.com. 2K Lab worked with us last summer as well. They're one of our favorite entities in all of sports gaming. We want to show you their college basketball stadium locator challenge game. And I'm going to share a screen right now as we do this. South Carolina, bang. Oh,
Ooh,
okay, that's pretty good. Next, North Carolina. Why are we only getting the Carolinas?
please
Bang.
lock in.
St. John's. That's New
New
York.
York.
Bang.
Where's New Jersey?
We're on fire. Colorado. I actually don't know what state Colorado is.
It's it's in Colorado. There's a state of
Is that
Colorado.
this one?
It's to the right of Phoenix.
Anyway, you get the picture. This game's really fun. They've got more games as well, like Guess the NBA Player, Mystery Fantasy Draft, and more. Stay tuned for all of the college football content and games that they'll be putting together to help you get the best experience out of college football 26. Back to the video.
Absolutely. Like that's kind of what I mentioned. You can tell how somebody's really feeling by the actions that they have or
Mhm.
that they're doing, right? Because I always heard the phrase actions speak louder than words. So we hear coach all the time say one thing, but they're still in on a couple different prospects. They're still in on a couple different people. Illinois is not. Like Illinois is seems pretty content with who they have slated to come in. And I think if there were signs, that's not to say that there may not be issues that pop up later, but I take that to mean right now there are no signs that things won't get done.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel good about it getting done, and I think that like you said, if it gets towards July, then you could really start to panic. Really, the only actual downside to me right now is that these guys just aren't on campus, like getting adjusted to college basketball, being with the new teams because Illinois has got like a whole. I mean, obviously Boswell,
Yeah,
Visich are back, but like you want these guys to spend as much time as they can together, getting associated with each other. And this kind of delaying it, I think, inherently somewhat hurts Illinois' like
yeah.
continuity and togetherness going into the next season because you need to get those guys on the same page and together.
Yeah, we see this all the time with especially this era with how much rosters turn over. Everybody's typically on the same level when you get to February. But the differences we see from teams in November and December is stark based on who you're returning and how many people you're returning. Like the experience gap and when experience matters is in that non-conference portion of your schedule in November and December. That's often where teams pick up the marquee wins that help carry them to really high tournament seeds in March. And the difference between how far you go in the tournament may very well depend on if you're a 3 seed or a 6 seed. And the difference there may depend on if you are able to pick up a good non-conference win or two or three in November and December. And particularly now with teams, as you mentioned, having started workouts a lot of times. BYU, we've seen practice tape of for a couple of weeks. NC State, we've seen practice tape of for a couple of weeks. Those teams are going to be at a more of a head start than Illinois is right now, which is a concern. It's not going to be a concern that lasts the entire season, but I think it is something to watch, like during the month of November, how Illinois looks and how sharp things are or are not.
Yeah. So hey, look, I think that obviously it's a hurdle to jump through. It's a little bit of a hindrance, but I think this will be something that we look back on in like a week or two and just be like, it got real close. But eventually they'll be on campus. Everything will be okay. But with that said, let's just keep an eye on this. Let's see how it goes. Let's not wait this out too long. There's no reason to stress out Illinois
Yeah.
fans because these are, obviously with Ty Rodgers having the injury, Mirkovic in the front court is going to be essential, and then you pencil in Mihailo Petrovic as your starting guard next to Kylan Boswell, in between him and Andrei Stojakovic. So he's going to be a major factor on the team. So hopefully these guys will get on campus sooner rather than later. If Brad tells me not to stress, I'm not going to stress. I'm going to go ahead and believe Brad, but we'll see how it
Yeah.
plays out.